Hello, and today's learning target is I can write an equation in standard form to slope-intercept form. So let's review. Standard form is ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are not any specific pieces of the equation, right? Those are going to be constants or numbers that are in front of either the variable x, so ax, the variable or the number in front of the variable y, so by, or c, which would just be a constant number without a variable. So again, that's what standard form is. Slope-intercept form, to remind you, is y equals mx plus b, where m represents the slope and b represents the y-intercept. So we are going to practice rewriting the following equations from standard form to slope-intercept form. So let's take a look here at the first example. So I want to get this equation here to y equals mx plus b. So I essentially want to solve for the variable y. So what I'll do is here I'll move the 7x over and I'll subtract 7x. Because again, I want to get y by itself. So when I do that, and I could draw my train track if I wanted, I get y equals, now I'm not allowed to put together the negative 7x with the 5 because those are not like terms. So I can just leave this equation as y equals negative 7x plus 5. And that would be the slope-intercept form of that equation. So for this next example, 2x plus y equals 10. Again, we want to solve for y because we want to get this to y equals mx plus b form. So I'll subtract 2x to the other side. So y equals negative 2x plus 10, and that would be the slope-intercept form of that equation. All right, let's continue on. Okay, for this example, I see 4x plus 2y equals 8. This one will have a few more steps because, as you see, y is not by itself. There's a 2 in front of that y, which means we will eventually have to divide by that by the coefficient in front of that variable because we want to isolate that variable and get it by itself. So I will go ahead and subtract 4x from both sides and get 2y equals negative 4x plus 8. Now here's where, again, we want to make sure y is by itself. So right now it's being multiplied by 2. So I'll go ahead and divide by 2, and that means the entire right side of the equation, every term also gets divided by 2. So here I just get y equals, and then on the right-hand side, negative 4x divided by 2 is negative 2x, and then 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I get negative y equals negative 2x plus 4 for that slope-intercept form right there. All right. 3x minus 6y equals 12. I'm going to go ahead and move the x term over, so I'm going to subtract 3x. And I'm left with, on the left-hand side, negative 6y equals negative 3x plus 12. Now again, I want to isolate the y variable, so I'll divide by 6. That means everything, negative 6, excuse me, on the right-hand side also gets divided by negative 6. Again, if you do something to one side of the equation, you must do it to the other, and each term also, like I said, has to be divided by negative 6. So I get y equals, because the negative 6, they cancel out, negative 3 over negative 6 is positive 1/2 x, and then 12 divided by negative 6 is negative 2. And that would be the slope-intercept form. All right. X minus 5y equals 15. I'm going to bring the x to the other side. So I'll subtract x and get negative 5y equals negative x plus 15. Then I'll divide everything by negative 5. And I'm left with y equals, on the right-hand side, this is a negative 1x, right? I could draw that in there or write that 1 in there, but we know we don't need that if it's just a single 1 for the slope. So it's like negative 1 divided by negative 5, which becomes positive 1/5 x. And then 15 divided by negative 5 would be negative 3. All right, and let's look at the last example here. So I will go ahead and subtract 3x to the other side and get 5y equals negative 3x plus 5. Isolate my y variable by dividing by 5 and get y equals negative 3/5 x plus 1. So again, when we want to go from standard form to slope-intercept form, we are solving for the y variable, right? We want to get y by itself. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Bye-bye.